I'm not really sure how to describe my sound because it's full of so many disparate kind of influences, like from techno to free jazz and everything in between. But there's this quote that keeps coming back that was from a gig I did with Soweto Kinch at Ronnie Scott's. This Guardian quote of "Bitches Brew era Mars Davis meets the Dub Chamber" or something like that, and I guess that's yeah. I mean, that kind of nails it really. Jazz is such a huge world. It's been evolving for like the past hundred or so years, and it's the fastest evolving music. And I love how it takes from so many other genres around it, and the other genres around it take from it. Things grow together. It never stops, and there've always been these points in history throughout the 1900s where something started changing and progressing, and some people didn't like it. What some people call the jazz police, like, oh no, that's not jazz anymore, it's become something else. But of course, it still is jazz, and then something will change again. And when it became hard bop, there were people saying that's not jazz. When it became jazz funk kind of stuff, when things started mixing with hip hop, there's always people naysaying and saying this isn't jazz anymore. And I think what's going on now, particularly around London and a lot of really cool places in the US, is this producer culture mixing with jazz. Like, I not only am an instrumentalist, but I make stuff electronically, producing stuff for other people and for myself, and that way of working is just as valid, and it's still part of me, and it's still part of my creativity, and now it's more accepted for me to meld the two, and I think it just makes everything much more interesting. Jazz right now in London is just testament to this melting pot of cultures that we've got. I mean, there's fantastic groups that are playing a lot of Afrobeat kind of stuff mixed with jazz, and because their families are from places like Nigeria, and that's the music that they grew up listening to. The parents played that kind of music around the house. There's someone like me, like a white girl from Yorkshire who grew up playing in brass bands, who's trying to introduce that to my sound. And I just think London is one of the best places in the world just for people mixing, and they only will ever make good music. London has so many different kinds of spaces and like energies about it. You could be on Catford Bridge and it's just like constant noise, constant traffic. You could be somewhere like here in Hillyfields and find a little quiet spot where you won't see a person for the whole day. And I think that's what makes London special. Like, there's just this constantly evolving energy, and there's this quote that I always kind of think about, which is that when you're tired of London, you're tired of life. And I think that's very true. I mean, it's such a draining city sometimes, but it's also really invigorating. Like, that kind of bustle lifts me, and it makes me, pushes me to want to do more, because this really is a place of such energetic magnitude that it's got to be coming from somewhere. I have this three-pronged mantra that I base all my music around, and it's music that needs to move the body, move the mind, move the soul, and that's like balancing the really visceral, groovy stuff with the cerebral, heady, out there shit, and stuff that's nourishing, stuff that's really tries to say something and explore an idea. I've taken that into this Onion project. Like, there's loads of groove, there's loads of free, crazy shit, and they are one and heard together. And I think they really need each other in order to be a full listening experience. And I took the idea of balance forward even more, because both of the sides of the record, and yang, they are opposites of each other. In the way that they're structured, it starts calm and builds into this groove and ends in this cacophonous kind of racket, and then the next side starts with this cacophonous racket, goes into a groove, ends with this calm, explorative kind of no time bed, and even down to the melody, like they're opposite of each other. So there's the melody, and I retrograded that to make the pitches of the other one, and there's people playing in different keys at the same time, people are playing in different time signatures, and it's all layering up to make this trancey, hopefully all-consuming kind of listening experience. recording straight to disc is something that I never really thought I'd be able to do. It requires so much fantastic technology and people that are so in tune with that process that it was something that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. You know, I make most of my music in my studio, which is full of broken stuff, like broken keyboards. Even my trumpet's a little bit broken. Everything's kind of always on the cheap. Everything's about trying to get something good from something that I found at a market. So to go into a studio that is literally the best studio I've ever been in, with just this like crazy Star Trek looking equipment with all these dials, and yeah, the physicality of the studio, you know, that everything's going through all these like metal transistors warming up the sound. You know, nothing's on a computer. If you want to turn something up, you're turning it up physically, and that felt really special because, you know, this music is about energy, and I think it really captured that in a way. You know, having people in the room together playing, it's so special, and it's something I don't usually get to do. Like, I'm usually overdubbing a lot of stuff, like doing all the percussion myself at a later time or something, and having everyone in the room to bring their stamp to it and to be able to shape parts of the music with their own ideas as well. It meant that it wasn't just my piece, it's a bunch of people that are all really trying to think about this concept and put what they think it means to them into the sound. I think it's the best music I've ever written because it's based on ideas that have shaped me as a person, shaped who I am, and shaped the way I make music. These ideas of balance are everything to me, and it was something that I always thought was going to be this weird later album that no one listened to, but maybe 100 copies were pressed and the heads have got it and the heads listened to it. But to do it at this point in my career and be able to kind of make that statement of like, this is who I am, this is what I believe, so early on, it's a dream.